Hey everybody, it's Justin and welcome back to the BTR Garage. Today we're going to bring you a quick video on how to wire in an aftermarket electric cooling fan on your 1992 to 1998 3 Series BMW or the E36 generation BMW. Older generation BMWs like this one have a couple fans installed on the car from the factory. One is an auxiliary fan that actually sits in the front of the engine bay here, right in front of the radiator and the AC condenser when it's in there. And in addition to that one, you have this one, which is this giant plasticky in metal clutch based fan that actually attaches to the water pump on the front of the engine. So this fan here in particular is very prone to failure on these cars. When these cars get very old in their lifetime, 10, 15, 20 years, this old plastic gets very brittle and hard and breaks off very easily. Now what can happen as a result if you lose a fan blade or something breaks off of this thing, it's going into your radiator, could potentially pierce your radiator, cut your radiator hose, or cause other damage in the front of the engine bay. So these things are a good maintenance type of thing to replace for preventative maintenance if you do have one of these cars. Now in this video, I'm simply going to show you how to wire in an aftermarket high-performance electric fan like this one from SPAL Automotive USA. This is a 16-inch single-stage fan or single-speed fan, so it has one speed. And you can actually replace that clutch-based fan that I just showed you as well as the auxiliary fan for the air conditioning that sits up in the front with just this one single fan. Now, a lot of the videos out there and DIYs on the internet show you how to replace the auxiliary fan and the clutch-based fan with one of these, but using a relay or additional wiring and having to do some other tricks to get these things up and running. But what I'm gonna do is show you a quick and easy way how to wire this fan using your existing auxiliary fan wiring. Now, as for the installation of the fan itself onto the radiator, that can kind of vary depending on what type of radiator you have, if it's an aftermarket race car radiator like I have in mine or will have in mine, or an OEM style radiator. There's a couple different mounting mechanisms you can get for it, so I'm going to leave that up to you guys to figure that out for your particular application. Here we're simply going to show you how to wire that fan up to our car using the existing auxiliary fan wiring. So let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is take a peek inside the engine bay, and obviously my car is undergoing a lot of work, so there's nothing in here at the moment. So normally our radiator would be down here and the stock clutch fan would fit in this area here. And then what you're gonna have on the driver's side of the car is the wiring for the auxiliary fan, and that's gonna look like this. And normally this thing will be down under here, way down below, and it will be attached to the auxiliary fan, which actually lives up in the front bumper up in here when you have it installed. So you want to find that wire or that plug that has 3 wires attached to it. It looks like this. 3 holes with 3 wires attached to it. So there's a large blue wire on the left-hand side, a brown ground wire in the center, and then a black with a blue trace wire on the right. The wires on the outside, the blue and the black blue, are the ones that control the speed of the fan with the OEM setup. Now the SPAL fan itself comes with this little wiring harness, which isn't much of a harness. It has a plug on the end of it. That white plug will actually connect to the fan connector, which I'll show you in a second. And then the other ends of it is just a black ground wire and a red hot wire or a red power wire. And basically all that we do is we take the wiring from the OEM harness on the car, that blue and brown ground, and we're gonna cut the plug off of there. We'll show you it step by step right here. So here is our plug from the OEM auxiliary fan. Grab your wire snips. We're just gonna cut all of the wires and then set our plug aside. We actually will not use this anymore. The next thing we'll do is grab that little harness that I just showed you for the fan itself, the one that has the white connector on one end, and then these guys on the other end. We're gonna cut these ones as well and discard the ends. Now for the actual wiring parts, we're gonna take our 3 wires from the OEM harness, separate the ground, take our 2 wires with the blue. Remember, these are the wires that control the speed of the OEM auxiliary fan. And since our aftermarket fan is only 1 speed, what we're gonna do is strip the ends of these wires, tie them together, and then attach those or solder those to the hot lead on the fan harness, which is this red one here. So basically we'll have those 3 wires combined together like that. Then with those wires connected, we're gonna do the same thing, but with our ground wires. So our brown wire from the OEM harness, and then the black wire from the fan harness, those will just get connected together as well. You can crimp these using plastic crimps or other types of butt connectors, but I'm gonna actually strip the wire and then solder them all together appropriately. All right, so we have the wires ready to go. I crimped them together or twisted them together. I haven't soldered them yet because I want to test this out first. So what we're gonna do is plug in the fan. I got the fan sitting right here itself. Plug that into our white connector, and we should be able to simulate the thermostat switching on by grabbing the thermostat plug, which is on the passenger side of the car. If you were to look at your radiator installed in your car right now, there's a sensor about 5 or 6 inches down on the side of the radiator, and this plug is attached to it. So this is the plug that reads the thermostat temperature levels and will trigger the fan to come on at the thermostat setting. So what we can do, and I've had my battery unplugged this entire time, so I'll have to plug it back in or reconnect it. What you can do is jumper the wires inside this 3 plug to simulate the thermostat coming on. So this plug is similar to the one on the other side. It has a ground wire and then the 2 speed wires, a high speed and a low speed. So what you can do is take a little wire like this, just a little U-shaped wire that you can use to complete the circuit. And when our battery's plugged in, that should trip the fan. So we're gonna test that out right now. All right, so the battery is reconnected, power to the car, and you have to put the car ignition to on as well. Put the key in the ignition, turn it to on. Don't start the car. You could start the car, I suppose, but it'll work fine with the ignition on as well, or it should work fine. We're about to find out. So we're gonna stick one end of this wire into the ground port and then another wire into either of the other ports, and it worked. The fan went on. All right, so let's try that again. We'll test out the other port as well. So into the ground, now into the other ports. Ooh, so that's the high-speed port. So that's the fan on high-speed mode. This must be the low speed then, because it was much quieter. Oh no, same speed. So my mistake there, I forgot, this is a single speed fan. The OEM auxiliary fan that sits in the front of the car is a 2-speed fan. This one, since we wired both of those wires again on this side over here to the same power input wire to the fan, regardless of if we go to the low speed setting on the thermostat or the high speed setting on the thermostat, this fan is gonna turn at the same speed regardless. So it worked, everything worked the first time. That was actually pretty nice. So what we're gonna do now is just solder up the wires and then shrink the shrink wrap over them. All right, everybody, I think that wraps it up. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We got our wires cut and spliced together. We got them soldered together after testing it out by tripping the ground wire and one of the speed switches on the thermostat. Confirmed that the fan worked okay, and then tidied everything up again with the shrink wrap and the electrical tape. So we have a nice clean solution, no additional relays or switches or extra wiring or having to tap into a power source or a 12-volt switch source. That of course is an alternative, but I like to do things easy, and this was pretty dang easy. You can eliminate your auxiliary fan, eliminate the clutch fan on the front of the engine with just the one high performance electric fan. So now we'll be moving on to another video, getting my new racing radiator installed and getting this fan mounted up to it and then everything put back in the car. But this video is over. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you out in getting a high performance electric fan wired into your car. If you're curious about what products I used, you can check them out in the description below. And like always, if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please leave those as well. I'd love to hear from you and help out if I can. Thanks everybody for watching. Stick around for more good stuff. Stay fast out there. I am checking out, and we'll talk to you all next time.